Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation. Of course, it's an honor to speak among such esteemed co-panelists and in front of such an audience. I was actually asked to talk about Bulgaria and Romania's non-accession, non-full accession to Schengen, and I will focus, of course, on this, especially since Guy made such a broad, grand picture about the new age of empires. I can only recommend you, if you want to be better prepared for the new age of empires, to read some books by an excellent British expert, a scholar, Dominic Leven. He has a number of brilliant books on the history of empires. Maybe it will help also Europe adjust easier to the new, dangerous and insecure world we are facing. But I remember back in 2007, I participated in a roundtable of The Economist. I was then Prime Minister of Bulgaria, and there was even a special report in The Economist, which was called The New Kids on the Block. So we are many years away from this date, but what are the messages which Europe is giving to the still new kids on the block, as Bulgaria and Romania? The last article in The Economist about Schengen and Bulgaria and Romania non-accession was back in 2013. So this is like, no, this is not a bomb yet. So it's a long story, never ending, and it's a shame for Europe. Maybe, I'm not here to give advice to The Economist, but it's time to write an article about how the abuse of the veto right, about which Guy was speaking, is undermining basic integration European policies for domestic reasons, and how the two poorest countries in Europe become poorer as a consequence. Because it is true that after Russia's invasion into Ukraine, geopolitics became a key part of the EU enlargement policy, and that is a good thing, because finally Europe stopped hesitating and said, okay, there are no empty spaces in geography and in policies, we have to move in order somebody else not to take our place and to undermine our priorities. But let me ask a simple question. Can we be perceived as a trusted partner, as somebody who keeps our word by Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, the countries of the Western Balkans, if we demonstrate in a very clear way that we don't keep our own rules? And all the time, EU is saying, we are union based on the rule of law. We follow our rules and procedures, but the rules and procedures are very clear. It's the European Commission who has to say if Bulgaria and Romania are technically ready, and then we should almost automatically become members. But this is not happening. This is why I would like to focus on three aspects of this situation. First is the political aspect of the delayed Bulgarian and Romanian full membership in the Schengen. The second is the economic damages and consequences, about which very seldom I hear anything. And last, not least, of course, is, okay, what do we do next with this situation? So the political aspect, it's clear that the reason for the numerous postponements are not laying in the two countries. The reason is the domestic political agenda in individual countries, which is shifting according to the elections in different countries. Because there was one country, then another, then the last two was the Netherlands and Austria. Then in the Netherlands we had elections, and the Netherlands gave green light. Now it's Austria, because they have elections in the fall. And unfortunately, the Austrian People's Party, which is the EPP center-right party, decided to compete with the Freedom Party before the elections on the ground of the Freedom Party, with anti-immigration rhetorics against asylum seekers, etc. In my humble experience, it's always bad to compete with somebody on his or her grounds. And I can predict the outcome not in favor of the Austrian People's Party. So worse is that, first, there are no guarantees that after the elections in the fall, there'll be any change in the policy of Austria. The agreement which was signed between Austria and the two countries is very vague, without clear timeline and criteria, and we don't know the composition of the future Austrian government. And politically for Europe, it's a very bad precedent to subdue European big policy issues to domestic agenda, which is shifting all the time. This is the most unstable thing. So what do we have as a political consequence? A rise of Euroscepticism in our two countries, as elsewhere in Europe. And I would ask the Austrian government, would they be happy in the European elections a few months away from now? The Eurosceptic parties like our, which is polling 19% in Romania, or the Bulgarian Revival with 15%, will get much more than back in 2019. Will they be satisfied? Maybe, okay. And then again, how can EU be effective in addressing all these geopolitical, economic, and social issues which we face if we don't complete our integration process, which are very clearly regulated? Now I'll focus on the economic aspects. It is nice indeed that today I could arrive to Bucharest from Brussels without passport checks. Excellent. And it will make life easier for millions of Romanians, for tourists who are coming here, for Bulgarian citizens, etc. And we know that the airport of Bucharest is growing very rapidly after 2022 by 15 million, has 15 million passengers in 2022. The same about the port of Constanța, which is one of the three fastest growing ports in Europe now. And no checks for Schengen on air and land will facilitate. But if I would be arriving by car from Sofia, the picture would be completely different. Many Romanians who are here know if they go to Greece by car, what a torture it is for them, for how many hours they have to queue on the Bulgarian-Romanian border, on the Bulgarian-Greek border, etc. But even Romanians going to Bulgaria, and there are hundreds of thousands who go for Easter holidays, for the summer holidays, it's a torture. But this is not even the biggest picture. The big picture is the economic harm which is done to our countries because the majority of our trade is by land. And then let me quote some figures from the shipping companies in Romania. The annual loss is more than 2 billion euro. Okay, 12 years multiplied by 2 billion, it's 24 billion euro losses for the Romanian economy in these 12 years after the Commission announced that we are ready. For Bulgaria, proportionally, it's 7 billion euro, more than 7 billion for 12 years. So if we add together, we have been harmed by more than 30 billion euros for this period. And this cannot stay unnoticed and without reaction. So here I come to the last element. What do we do next? Until now, we were, the good guys. We were begging, we were explaining, we focused on diplomacy a lot. And of course, we should be grateful to the European Commission, which is our ally on this, to the majority in the European Parliament, to many countries who strongly support Bulgaria and Romania, say, what is happening is simply unjust. This is anti-European. Don't do this. And to the United States, by the way, which has always been supportive to European integrational processes, among everything else. However, ambiguity remains. And I remember Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu last year threatened Austria to take it to the European Court of Justice. I think it was a right move to wave the flag at least, but I think it's not enough. Because my opinion is that we have to develop new strategies together, the two countries, which could use not only diplomacy, we should not give up diplomacy, we must be prepared to explore alternative strategies, including coordinated political and economic measures. I don't need to go into details, but I'm sure that the two governments know many areas of interest for other countries where we are important for them. It's in economy, it's in politics, it's in the Western Balkans, okay. So finally, I think that together, and I would like to stress on this, that only together we can succeed, and to warn again any attempts to, to have your own path. Be it Bulgaria and Romania, I've seen it many times. Others were playing on these rivalries among us in order to put both sides, both countries on the side. We should not repeat this mistake. But together we should explore opportunities, and if in the course of 2024 the full membership also on the ground is not implemented, we should be ready, prepared to act together in a very European way, very as good Europeans, believing in a common project, but also with the necessary firmness, because we cannot tolerate anymore to be treated as second-rate countries, second-rate citizens, and those who continue with such practices will have to face the consequences. Let us be blunt, frank, and I think this is the way we should act. Thank you.